Well, I have no work. All my work is gone. Never going to see work again. My life is in ruins. I don't think I'll ever go to work again. So stay at home.
It's showtime!
Well, 2007, I did the Heroes Dakar. That was when the Dakar was cancelled. Did it with a guy called Hubert Ariel. Hubert Ariel, massive big dude in the Dakar. The French love him to bits. He's like the star of France. And I did it with him in 2007 with Patsy Quick. You might remember Patsy Quick from Race to Dakar. And so it has to be Dakar for me. It was one of the most amazing things I did in my life. It was like you could call it maybe a soft Dakar. It was the traditional Dakar route from Paris under the Arc de Triomphe all the way to the Pink Lake in Senegal. And so Dakar, always for me, Dakar.
It's showtime!
A road trip. I live my life doing road trips. So it's always road trips for me. Loads of adventure, loads of, never know what's around the corner on a road trip. So yeah, road trips.
It's showtime!
Well, it's a bit like sex, really. It's always best to go solo because these days group sex is probably dodgy. So yeah, I would go solo.
It's showtime!
Well, look at Morocco, hey? Morocco, it's got to be a bit of both because mountains or desert, because you go to Morocco, go up into the mountains, go to ride that beautiful ride to Taradant, or ride down to Mazouga where you've got the desert. So Taradant, where you've got what's it called, the Petit Marrakesh. Beautiful road, beautiful tar, beautiful mountains. Or go to the Todra Gorge, beautiful scenery, or go down into the Sahara Desert. So for me, you got to go both.
It's showtime!
Based on the kind of stuff that I do, I would say, my favorite tire would be TKC 80. Massively confident tire, makes you feel really, really cocky on the bike. Doesn't last very long, only about 5,000 maybe less if you're messing around a lot. But fantastic tire. The thing about tires, I think, is that tires are often taken too seriously. So you put someone who is a really good rider on a baldy tire, and he'll get up that gravel hill, he'll get up that side of that mountain because he'll just ride the bike up there. He won't even look at the tires. Put someone who's not very good on a bike with a brand new TKC 80 on, probably still not very good, and he probably still won't get up the hill. So to me, tires, you ride the bike to the conditions, you ride the bike to the feel of the bike, and put someone good on a bike, and I reckon it doesn't matter what tires he's on, he'll still be good. Put someone bad on a bike and he's still bad,
It's showtime!
Going back to the mountains and the desert, really, isn't it? So to me, gravel is my home base. I feel comfortable with gravel. I can ride a bike pretty good on tar, but I don't feel good. In other words, I always feel like the weaker member of the group when I'm on tar because I don't, in my head, I don't feel good. But on gravel, I feel good. I feel like I'm a strong rider on gravel, and I feel good in a group. I feel like I'm up there with the top of the group. So gravel would be my home base, and tar is maybe just for weekends.
It's showtime!
Again, because of my experience, I think sand is probably would be what I would go for. I think sand is about being able to break that fear, and if you can break that fear and get a little bit of experience, a little bit of learning done on sand, because once you can do sand, you can actually really enjoy sand. I'm not talking like big 3-foot deep beach sand, on a GS 1200 fully loaded. That's always going to be a nightmare. But actually, generally speaking, sand, the Sahara Desert down in Mazouga in southern Morocco, once you've cracked that sort of fear of it and you realize and you get the flavor of how to do it, sand is great fun.
It's showtime!
Yeah, that's funny because I was thinking about my first bike, and I went through all my bits and pieces to try and find a picture of it, like from years ago, because I was only I think about 10 or 11, maybe 12. And anyway, I couldn't find, I had loads of old pictures of Ireland. I lived in Ireland as a kid quite a lot. And that's where I bought my first bike, which was a Mobilette, an NSU Mobilette, or they called it a Quickly, it was called. There's over a million of them built. They were built in Germany. and I think they were built from about 1950, 1953, right the way through to about 1967, 68. And I got one when I was about 10 or 11. I paid £10 for it. In fact, I didn't. I paid 10 punt for it. So that was the Irish money then, P-U-N-T, 10 punt. And I bought it from a local farmer in a little village called Omeath in Ireland, where I lived with my granny. And I used to rag it up and down all of the lanes around the village, but the throttle was broke. So what I did, I had a piece of string onto the top of the carburetor. So I would ride like this, and all around the village. And all the people used to, well, not all, some of them used to complain about me. And it was a two-stroke, remember? So there was plumes of blue smoke coming out of the back. And I used to get caught on it loads of times. And in Ireland, the police are called the guards or the Gardaí. And the same guard used to always catch me, and he would like be shaking. And guards then, by the way, guards in Ireland, going back in the day, you had to be 6'4" or 6'5" to be a guard. You couldn't just be like a little guy and say, I want to be a policeman. You'd have to be a big bloke. So this massive big guard used to stop me and give me a proper, like, you know, telling off. But he never ever did me, and he never told me granny, because my granny would have battered me. But anyway, Mobilette. 49cc, twin stroke, two-stroke, twin stroke, and I loved it. I had it for years and years and years. I don't know what happened to it in the end, though.
It's showtime.
I think it has to just be the GS 1200. I mean, I know there's a big dispute on bikes, big bike, small bike, but that whole big bike, small bike debate, I think, is a lot of bollocks, really. So, you know, I've got big bikes and small bikes, and I know some people criticize the GS for being too big, too heavy. But you know what? If you're a half decent rider, and if you're not, you can become one by going on a few training courses, and that GS will just go anywhere around the world, and you will get that massive dual capability of doing 160 kilometers an hour on the highway, on the motorway, or you can equally do 140, 150, or if you're a little bit scary, 160 kilometers on the gravel tracks of Namibia. And you know, it'll go all day at that kind of speed if you want it to. It's got loads of capability for a pillion, loads of power for a pillion. It's got loads of capability for good luggage. And I don't care what you say, as a round the world bike, it's got to be a bike of choice. I know KTM have got theirs as well, but for me, you know, yeah, favorite bike all round would be the all-round world beater, would be the GS 1200 BMW.
It's showtime.
Okay, two things come to mind. One is the quad lock. So quad lock came out a few years ago, and you know, I do a lot of riding on different bikes, and often not my bike. You know, a bike in Africa, a bike in Morocco, a bike in Australia. And the first thing we do is I put a quad lock on the handlebars, which takes like 5 minutes, and I've got a quad lock on my mountain bike and on my racing bike. And for those who don't know, by the way, a quad lock is a tiny little gadget, just goes onto your handlebars, and it means you can put your iPhone or other phone in a very quick way and lock it on. And it means that for me, when I'm riding, I don't actually do calls on the phone, but it means when I'm riding, I can use the phone as a navigator, or I know that if someone's ringing me, I'll see it, it'll come up on the screen. So I know for someone like me who often leads rides, I want to make sure if someone's trying to contact me that I can see it coming in, so I can pull over and I can take the call. And I also use quad locks for other things. In fact, this here, I don't know if you can see this. I can get that in shot. So when I'm doing podcasts or stuff like that, so I also use the same sort of setup here, so I can put an iPhone on there and use it as a camera. So quad locks, they're just really, really cool. And then my second bit of kit would be Garmin 660 Zumo. Old bit of kit, but proper, robust, reliable, old school Garmin GPS. Works really, really well. And I carry Garmins all over the world. I end up having to get a separate, pay for a separate bag when I board planes, because I normally arrive in Australia with about 25 Garmin Zumos, or I arrive in South Africa, Cape Town, with 25 Garmin Zumos. So they're getting on a bit now, the Zumo, the old Zumo, the 660, but proper real life. If you can buy one these days, you should buy it. If you ever see one online, like a brand new one, you should buy it because it's so reliable and so cool and so flexible. So yeah, Garmin, Zumo, 660, and the quad lock.
It's showtime!
Okay, the way I look at gear, because I sort of ride, I was going to say professionally then, I don't ride professionally, but because I ride as part of what I do to make money, it means that I ride lots of different bikes, lots of different brands of bikes. So I quite like to wear the right gear for the right bike. So for example, when I'm riding a BMW in Africa, which I do most September, October, in fact, August, September, October, I'm nearly always on a GS 1200 or a GS Adventure or a GS 850. And I like to wear a GS suit, like the traditional BMW twat suit, you know, and I just feel part of that scene, if you like. And then if I'm riding, so I've just been in Australia riding a road glide, a Harley Davidson road glide, and I have a really nice Harley Davidson, quite a plain, low-key Harley Davidson leather jacket with Harley Davidson jeans and a nice pair of boots, and yeah, it felt really cool, felt like I fitted in with the bike. Then when I ride, I've got a Truxton R at home, well, downstairs in the living room, in fact, next to the piano. Beautiful, hardly touched. And when I ride that, I like to ride something that's a bit more, I don't know, maybe Revit, you know, sort of wear some Revit gear, some quite trendy gear, or the Bike Shed. I've got some really nice clothes from the Bike Shed, and I've been out on the Truxton with some nice Bike Shed gear. And yeah, I like to mix it up a bit and wear clothes that fit the scene, fit the bike, you know.
It's showtime!
Our helmet has got to be RI. So I've used RI ever since I can remember. And I think one of my first expensive RIs was the RI Tourex, the one that they used for a long way round. And I think that's why I was persuaded to go for an RI, because I've seen them in long way round. I thought they looked cool. It's an adventure helmet. It's nice and spacey, gets lots of air in it. It's got a really solid name so that you know that when it comes to the crunch and your head hits the ground or something, you feel confident that that helmet is actually going to do what helmets are supposed to do.
It's showtime!
One of the cool things about Morocco, it's a bit like going back in a time machine. So if you walk down some of them little streets of Marrakesh or them little streets of Taradant or even further south down into the back end of Ouarzazate and things like that, you could easily be in the 12th century. You've got people walking around with sandals, donkeys and carts, big robes. What's the big robe called? The jalaba. The jalaba. God, I remember when I first went to Morocco, on a motorbike, must have been, I don't know, 25 years ago or something. And I remember coming into Ereshkigal. Do you remember Ereshkigal when it was a big Dakar? It was big Dakar Central, wasn't it? There was a big bivouac just outside of Ereshkigal, and all of Ereshkigal was very Dakar orientated, and all the garages had Dakar stickers and Dakar memorabilia in them, because all the garages would end up helping out with the Dakar when the Dakar would come into town. You'd come in and say, can you weld this, or can you fix this, or whatever. And so I went there because of the Dakar. And I remember I was on my own. I was on a KTM. No, I wasn't on a KTM. What was I on? Some old piece of shit bike it would have been all that time. Anyway, I remember coming into Ereshkigal. I not far came off the ferry in Ceuta, and I was coming into Ereshkigal, and by this time now it's dark. It's like, 9:30, nowhere to stay, very, very vulnerable, feeling totally out of my zone. Didn't really know what to expect in Morocco, riding in, and it was pitch black, but there was every now and again, there was like, the first thing that hit me was the smell of burning, the smell of wood burning. And it was like wood, the smoke like just floating through the night air. And then every now and again, there would be a 45-gallon drum with a fire in it, and about 6 or 7 blokes around it with the big jalaba hoods on, like big, like Ku Klux Klan basically, but made of wool. Yeah, big, thick, you know. And I remember just basically shitting myself, thinking, "Feck, what is going on here?" I was terrified. I remember thinking, "What? You're on your own, and you don't know where you're going," and everything. And so yeah, so that was inspiring for me because it scared me, and I wanted. That's why we do stuff sometimes, isn't it, to get scared? And I remember being scared, and in the end, I broke that sort of that fear by stopping and asking directions and stuff like that, looking for somewhere to stay. And then you sort of start to realize that these are just ordinary people who are wearing a hood, like, you know, that's the way people live. And so so that's pretty cool about Morocco, that culture, that 12th century style about it, where you literally, from buildings to people, and even to some degree, the way people are living, you've gone back in a time machine. You could easily see Jesus Christ walking towards you with the big beard and a cross over his back, really just walking along and morning, how's it going? Yeah, you could easily see that.
It's showtime!
Okay, Greg, let me get a plug in. So on the 25th of April, maybe even on the 24th and the 25th, because the agenda, if you like, the schedule is only just coming together now, we're going to have an online adventure festival. It's called the Armchair Festival, the Armchair Festival, and it's all about the fact that all the festivals, or loads of festivals around the world, and loads of stuff that we normally go to, has all been cancelled. So a couple of guys have pulled this together, where we're going to have a proper motorcycle / travel festival, but all online. And we're going to be having speakers from all over the world who are going to be talking online, telling us about their adventures, about their travels, about their experiences. We're going to have like an adventure accessory shop online. You can buy books at the festival. It's going to be on the 24th, 25th of April. It's going to be running for about 24 hours. Or no, I think it's going to be running it's going to be running for about 12 hours, I think it is. And as I say, it's only just all coming together now. I'm going to be speaking on it. We might even have one or two surprises speaking on it who maybe you didn't expect to speak at it. But, you know, all the usual top names that you come across, and a few new names as well, which is good. Like, so you'll have the Sam Manicongs, Spencer Conway, Billy Ward, the Posty Bike guy, just loads and loads of people. It's going to be great. Check it out. Google it. If you can't find it, Google it. You will find it. And sign up for it. So sign up for it so that we know how many people are going to be online, because it's all going to be streamed live. And so sign up for it. We know how many people are going to be, and we know how much drink to get in. So to get everyone like enough drink on them so they can really enjoy it.